Hi, King Kwesi back again with another episode of Living in China. It's your host, King Kwesi, with another video on the channel. If you are here and you like this kind of content from China, people sharing their life experiences, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and let's grow the channel together. When I interviewed Jerry's take on China, he made mention of the fact that he enjoys the freedom in China, and I was surprised. So I asked him to explain what he meant by that, and he gave us an explanation. Let's listen to what he said.
Believe it or not, and this is what will surprise many people. I actually cherish the freedoms that we have here. Just last night, just last night. I know
the word freedom here, I think, is relative. Can you explain to us? Because
well,
China, people are gonna come after us.
We're going to have people saying you must be mad. There's no freedom in China, and they're wrong. They're totally wrong. Last night was a friend's birthday, and we went around the corner and sat in the street drinking beer and Canadian Club. He's a Canadian guy, and we had a bottle of Canadian Club that we bought from a shop around the corner, but we bought a couple of beers from this shop, and we sat on their table, and they cooked barbecue for us in the street. We drank beer, got barbecue, drank his Canadian Club, and it was just completely free to do that. It's not something you can do in the West without either incurring the wrath of the police. I mean, imagine barbecuing in the street in the West, whereas here they just set up the barbecue and say, okay, if it's your birthday, we'll cook some of this in the street, right outside, cars parked there, traffic's going up and down, pedestrians, but that's okay, we can do that.
Right after that, I did a poll on my Instagram page asking foreigners in China whether they have any form of freedom. 65% voted no, and 35% voted yes. I took this interview to the street of China in Suzhou to ask some foreigners whether they have any form of freedom. And these were their responses. Let's go watch the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace out. Thank you. All right. All good. As a foreigner in China, do you have any form of freedom?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the freedoms that you have here are kind of to live your own life in a really free way, as long as you kind of don't step over any boundaries in terms of like social boundaries or break any laws specifically. I mean, follow the law when you're living in China, absolutely. But within that, you have a pretty free life. Except, I guess the caveat there is COVID lockdowns have totally changed the way you live in China, I think, because you're registering yourself every other day. People are swabbing you every day. You could be locked down in your house on a one-day notice, or you could be traveling to another city and be stuck there at your own expense. COVID has definitely turned the freedom thing on its head.
All right. Do you have any form of freedom as a foreigner in China?
Any form of freedom? Actually, I have a lot of freedom as a foreigner in China. I'm coming from Russia, so we dress up even when we go out to buy bread, and everybody's judging you, like how you dressed, what brands you wear, especially ladies judging ladies. So here I have the freedom of dressing up the way I like, not putting the makeup on, dancing the way I like, dancing the dance that people will not understand in Russia, for example, or somewhere else. So I have a lot of freedom here, actually.
I think once again debatable. Depends on the situation. If you're a positive guy and you always be positive, you choose to be happy, you're not going to get that feeling towards it. But if you're trying to be negative and that sort of thing, you're looking for it, you're going to find it. I promise you that. Yeah.
That is a very difficult question. I think I do have freedom, but like to a lesser extent, because like, for example, I'll just talk about something simple. For example, with the dressing, like Chinese people will make you feel uncomfortable when you're just trying to like dress the way that you want to dress and the way that you used to, I'm not free. I have to like now compromise a lot of things. and just sometimes doing certain things in public that I would do at home, but then in China I just feel like they find it weird, you know. Yeah, even though they're more weird sometimes.
Wow. Not unless you move off the campus. If you live on the campus with this corona stuff, you have no freedom, bro. No freedom at all. Like with COVID, there's no freedom. But I think I never experienced China before COVID. I came here in 2019. I experienced COVID China. People tell me before, like, China was lit, they would do this, they would do that, but now students, they stay home, you know? Plus, like, you know, it's bro, we broke, bro. Man, we broke, yo.
No, I have no freedom, I have no rights, but I'm very low maintenance and stuff. I don't need much, so I'm okay. But if I was someone who needed stuff, I think I'd have a hard time here, because definitely no rights here.
I actually do. It's probably not what other people may think, but I actually do, because I cannot complain so much about the COVID whatever regulations, because this started like a year ago. Before that, I could do anything that I want to do. So I feel like I do. I honestly do. Contrary to what so many people believe, but I think I do. I do whatever that I want to do all the time.
Freedom. I think so. I believe so. Do I have freedom? Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What's the cost of living in China as compared to Russia?
If you compare Shanghai and Moscow, I would say it's approximately the same. But if you compare with my town, maybe it's 3 times more expensive here.
Right, you live in Suzhou.
Yeah.
Compared to Suzhou, to your home country or the city that you come from, what is the cost of living for an average family?
Oh, it's way less. I mean, but the thing is, we have a kind of a muddled view of it, because we have a disproportionately high salary here as a teacher in China, being a foreigner. So our salary to cost of living is a lot. The standard of living is a lot higher in Suzhou because of our disproportionately high salary. So it's it's hard to compare.
What is the cost of living in your home country as compared to China?
Bruh, the cost of living in it's tragic, bro. As a student here in China, you can survive off of, let's say, $200 US. Back in my home country, you need at least 600 to 1,000 US for the month, you know. But here, as a student can survive on $200 US easy. You just buy food and cook it. You don't go nowhere. You cut your hair and that's it.
What is the cost of living in China as compared to your home country?
If I'm being honest, I know people say it's cheap, but for me, I think it's quite the same. I don't think it's that different. I mean, things are cheap, definitely, but I don't know, maybe I spend more than I used to. I don't know. I just think it's the same. I think it's the same, honestly.
What is the cost of living in China as compared to your home country, South Africa?
The cost of living in China, for me, I think they are high. It's just like I really find it lower, because when I was in South Africa I wasn't working, and in China I'm working, so I'm able to afford myself. But if I try to like convert, because I have this problem that every time I try to convert I think trying to convert the currencies just makes everything looks more expensive in China. But I mean, you can afford it, so we can say they are relatively okay.
What is the cost of living of your home country as compared to China?
The cost of living of my home country compared to China, I think it's not too different. Actually, it's not too different. I'll put it this way: when I was home, I couldn't afford the things that I can afford now, because I earn a higher salary here than I did back home. For example, when I was home, I was earning 10,000 and rent was 6,000. So obviously, just from that, then the cost of living is too high. Yes, as opposed to now that I live in China, I get a higher salary and I don't pay for my own rent. And when I do, it's usually quite little. It's probably like like only like 5% of my entire salary.
You from South Africa, as compared to China, the cost of living.
The cost of living, I would say in the city that I live in here in China, it's so expensive compared to my hometown. My hometown is a little bit cheaper compared to the city that I live in. You know, Suzhou, Shanghai, all these cities are expensive, man. But the salary is good, so we're good.